and do meth tests. I've had a lot of people say, oh, HUD homes have had inspections, HUD homes have already had a meth test done, right? And there's a lot of agents say, oh yeah, it's part of it. They don't do meth tests. They're not doing tests for meth. Here's the cool thing though. I had a Fannie Mae property that we were doing out in Tooele last year that we did the meth test and it came back positive. And so we said, hey, we have a problem. And they said, well, they've got a system for this. They're going to either clean it or they'll give like a huge discount type thing, but then it messes up financing. It got really messy, but right off the bat, they just said, look, it's barely above the state required limit. If the buyer still wants to move forward on it, we'll just knock off 15 grand just off the purchase price. And we ended up, finding out it's just in the unfinished part of the basement, so it just needed a good scrub. It's pretty good, so we still bought it. Nice. So they're. But it was like 15 grand just like that because we did the meth test and found it. So there are some good things that can happen, but gosh, yeah, be careful.
Does the same home inspector do a meth test?
Yeah, so if you ask, and you have to pay for it. So right now the meth test is usually about $85 if you can wait a week to get the results back, or if you want it rushed, it's like $150-ish. And the labs are just up in West Valley, so you get the results pretty quick.
What was your first experience of a meth test like?
It was Kearns several years ago. Regular seller. We find the meth. Again, meth tests are so sensitive. The state limit is 1. And so this one that we got.
What does that mean, 1? Sorry.
Like from 0.0 to whatever, a meth lab, which would be like 15 or something.
Yeah.
The state level is 1, meaning if it comes back at like 0.8 is what your meth tests come back in, you're fine. You don't have to do anything. If it comes back, which this one did at like 1.2,
yeah,
you immediately hit the brakes. You can't even sell that house. Like you have a problem. You have to call the county and deal with it. I asked Mike Stevens, who is one of our preferred vendors here. He's my preferred inspector, and he's the one that did that test. And I said, what is 1.1, 1.2? Like what does that even mean to us? Like do they have a big lab going? And he said it's so sensitive, it could have literally been somebody that was using meth, whether smoking it or whatnot, and got the substance kind of on their clothes, the residue just on their clothes, somewhere else, came to this house, spent one night there and just kind of rolled around on the carpet or something, and then left the next day 2 years ago, and it would have come up 1.2-ish. They're that sensitive. So it's like your cousin's brother's former roommate that's a meth head. If he comes and like sneezes in your house, you probably have a problem.
So Clay, just down the road, 5 years, you have to disclose that.
Not if you go through the abatement process. So this one, we were representing the buyer. We said, seller, you got to go through the process. He said, fine, I'll do it. It cost him like 8 grand. You call up certified companies around town. They'll come out. They'll see your test. Sometimes, like this one, because it was so low, they didn't have to like pull the sheetrock down and destroy it. They just sprayed like this chemical on all the walls and in the vents and just like everywhere and just kind of scrubbed it all down. And then I believe they replaced the carpet. While they had it, they sprayed the floor down with this chemical. They put everything down, and then they have the county inspector that specializes in this will come out to the house, perform their own test. You still have to pay for it, or the seller in this instance paid for it, and certified, okay, it came in at now 0.5 or 0.4 or something, you're good to go. Gave us a certificate, and as far as I'm aware, if you do have that certificate, because I'm selling that house right now, this is, who's where Lindsay is, this is DeFusco. We're selling your house right now, and I have it under contract, and I have not disclosed that there was a meth problem in the home before because we had that certificate done.
So it won't show up on the abatement record?
Probably would if they looked at it. But I'm moving forward in confidence that I encourage them to do a meth test, because we're in the clear here. If it comes back positive, then that's on my client because that means she did meth, or something. But it was clean when she bought it, so. But we encourage a lot of people, especially if you're buying any home in Kearns or somewhere like. I grew up in West Valley. I can make fun of that area.
Yeah.
You guys can't. Oh, you little Utah young kids. Okay. Home path, home steps. Let's go down through a couple more. Let's see if there's any other interesting. Yeah, see again, probably just a regular one, nothing special. Always look at the remarks, just be mindful. It So here's a Fannie Mae. Let's see, is it going to make us go through home steps? All offers.
It's home path financing in the first
Yep,
paragraph.
this is home pass. So this is interesting. You guys ever seen this? Deed restriction applies to investors. You guys ever seen that? What is that? What are they talking about?
They can't flip it within a certain period of time.
Bingo. So Fannie Mae has said, usually, sometimes there's certain circumstances where the home has been owned by so many different people in such a short amount of time that they put on these restrictions and say, we can't yet again have somebody else now try to flip it. And so normally they'll say, if you buy this home, we will not let you sell that deed again for at least 3 months. You have to just hold on to it. And so for an occupant buyer that's going to live there, it's just no big deal. And that's why they're saying investors. They're saying if you want to go flip this home, you're going to have to sit on it for at least who knows how long, but normally it's about 3 months. Have you seen anything longer?
Mm-mm. One thing I was just thinking about, another thing that we need to be really careful with our buyers and educating them that it costs additional money to have one of these homes inspected because the buyer is paying for a de-winterization fee and then they're paying another $150 to have it re-winterized. So that's just something, and for these first-time home buyers who are like way tight on cash or whatever, just something to take into account. And if we can educate them about that, then we just look all the more professional.
Yeah.
And it adds up. I mean, if they're paying $400 for an inspection, you can count on $250 an additional cost for re-winterization and stuff like
or
that.
if they want to do a meth test, there's another $100 on top. Yeah.
Something I ran into, because the only rep fee I've had and submitted is one of these type homes, is that normally we don't accept earnest money until 4 days after acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
These are telling me that we have to have the proof of the earnest money prior to submitting our offer. So
Good.
that really freaked out my clients yesterday because we got notified at 3:38 and they wanted it there by 5 and they were at work and they freaked out. So
I'm glad you brought that up. HUD especially, when you get your HUD bid accepted and you have to mail that check to either Matt Martin Hotels or PEMCO, you mail a certified earnest money check to them. Hubzu, and I don't know about these other two, but these ones, you normally have to upload a copy of like the receipt that your brokerage has the earnest money. HomePath and Home Steps, you have a little delay, but they still are like, you have to get, they take earnest money so much more serious. In fact, I get the sense that most other places other than Utah are so much more serious about earnest money. But here we buy $300,000 homes for $500 earnest money, not hard for 3 weeks. You know, I mean, we're very lenient on these, but remember when you're dealing with these national stuff, it's just a different mindset. So don't get mad, you know, when HUD says, you send us a check today. Like, that's just how other places do it. And quite frankly, I would like to see our culture shift a little bit and see us doing $1,000 and $2,000 on earnest money and whatnot.
well, what's different about this one too is though we're bidding against 8 other people and we still had to have the earnest money. You know what I mean? They didn't.
Yeah.
It was way prior to acceptance. At least the others, it's, oh, you got the thing, get us the check right now.
Yeah,
This is, no, even if you're just going to make an offer, you have to collect earnest money.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And unless it's changed in the last little while, on HUD homes, earnest money is completely non-refundable for investors.
For investors. It could be. I know it is refundable on
The ones I've done through Home Telos are that way anyways.
But it's interesting how they do it. On the HUD homes that I've done, the cashier's check that you write, it usually says it's made out to HUD and then the buyer's name. Because I've backed out of a couple of HUD deals and they just mailed us back the earnest money cashier's check. Like they never even deposited it. So I think they sit on a file, but they want a cashier's check, that way you know the funds are legit. Yeah. Yeah. A few more thoughts just on home path and home steps. What am I trying to say? Home path and home steps, again, offers done over the website. They will do repairs. The listing agents are normally much more involved. Has anyone done one recently? Any red flags we need to look out for? I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Let's go down a couple more and then we'll end. I want to make sure we're not missing anything. See, there's offers must be made over homepath.com. I will say this, there's always additional forms when you go to HomePath. You know, when your clients say, hey, let's make an offer on HomePath, go through all of this process before you just send them a rep. See, because HomePath has 2 other documents that they have to sign and fill out. Oh, here's another good question. Which ones of these will accept digital signatures?
I've tried HomePath.
Because we're all dot loopers now, right?
Yeah, HomePath, I think they rejected me when I did it with the digital. I don't know who it
It's
was. It
definitely
was,
not gonna be HUD.
it was one of them. They had, you told me that they had to have blue pen.
Yeah, HUD.
So we all know
you have to
HUD is
have-
like not only not digital, but you can't even use black ink. It has to be
Yeah.
blue ink. You know, you're mailing the original doc. You forget to like put a date, you get kicked out. You
Yeah.
get 2 tries to get the form right. 3rd try, you lose the deal. You know, and on that same case, Hubzu, you try to renegotiate a date. Like you say, oh, can we extend our inspection deadline by 2 days? They'll say, nope, next, and kick you out, and they go with a backup offer just like that. One of the Hubzu deals that I got, we did not win the initial bid. We were put in a backup position, and the first buyers couldn't get the home. They got too caught up about trying to make the seller winterize the house, and so they ended up eating up all of their due diligence time, and they got like down to the wire, and they kind of said, well, we need a few more days because we didn't know that you guys wouldn't winterize the house. And like as soon as they even said that, the seller side out in India said, hey, you guys don't know what you're doing. Here's a cancellation. They didn't even get an option. They got cancel on. They were so pissed. They wanted to sue and do all this stuff. But we got the house. They didn't even change the price. We were 30 grand less than that initial bid. They still went with us. And that other buyer was like writing notes on the door. We got screwed. We're gonna sue. Like all this stuff. Like, but that's just how it works. They are so strict. You just can't mess around with those. But on the digital signatures, as far as I'm aware, none of them will accept digital signatures.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So good old fashioned scan and print. And that does go for, actually, I have submitted digital signatures on HomePath, and I think we actually won the bid, got it accepted, and went under contract. And then they said, oh, by the way, just print and put ink signatures next to all the digital signatures and update it that way.
So it's just better though to get just ink signatures
Yeah.
with everything.
Yeah, I just know sometimes it's hard. I mean, when you look at some of these and you have like 1 day and 26 minutes to get it in, and you're trying to chase a house in St. George or something, and people don't know how to use a scanner, it can get tough. So again, most HUD homes, you're going to say, hey, FHA case number right here. So you just go to HUD Home Store. Yep, it even tells you right here. Submit the offer through there. Gary Cooper does a ton of these. He's down here in Provo with us. Keep going. Any others on our list? Any weird ones? Oh, look at that. Nice, meaty. That's what a HUD home should have. So you know you like this? Like Bustos has really done a good job. He's created a little HUD information hotline. Because again, a lot of HUD agents, like you don't even talk to them. Whereas, you know, Bustos has tried to say, hey, I'm going to give you so much information. He probably has instructions on here. But he tries to break every little thing down on how to get these.
Awesome.
Pay attention to agent remarks. Okay, scroll down and see if there's anything else. What are we missing, guys? Have you heard of anything else that we're missing? There's a regular one. That's a HUD home.
I saw one a minute ago that had a 4.5% buyer's premium on it.
Another one. Yeah,
What
they're
are you
in
talking
there.
about?
They're in there. Don't let that get. That's why I say it. And the buyers don't know this stuff. They're gonna find these homes online. They'll say, see, there's one right there. There's one right here. Okay, so this is the lady I'm talking about. This Karen, these guys, their phone number. You like click on her home. They're in Memphis, Tennessee. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
So if you call her and say, "Hey Karen, I'm just calling. Is that water heater working that house?" You're not gonna get any answers on that one. But see, they're just saying you go to Hubzu, $300 plus the 4.5%. But again, this is all in agent remarks. The public doesn't have access to that, and so you've got to educate your buyers, you know, before they get too excited, because they're gonna see a too good to be true property. And we all know that if it looks too good to be true, it normally is, and this is why. Okay, any other questions, you guys, on these properties? It is a ton of information. The biggest takeaway I think we should all have is when you have clients that are interested in these, let's help each other out. Obviously, Melanie and Trent do a ton of these on the financing side. Ask them.
Money, I don't anymore.
You still know more
I still
about
know
HUD
stuff.
homes than most all of us do. And so we can ask questions and let's learn together. Let's help each other out. Anything else? Okay, I'll be done. Get out of here.